signs for it? Is it inherited? What are some ways to treat or prevent it? These 4 questions are still being surveyed and studied across the world, and I hope by the end of my speech you will see the negative effects that it can have on a person. Several studies will prove that alcoholism is defined as a life-threatening disease with recognizable signs as ways to treat and prevent the disease. Alcoholism is a central nervous system depressant that slows down bodily functions and can cause intoxication, oblivion, or may even be fatal. According to several surveys, 13% of Americans are affected by alcohol abuse. Also, the National Council on Alcoholism and Drug Dependence states that about 17.6 million Americans deal with serious alcohol problems. The best way to prevent this from happening is to abstain from any type of alcohol. First off, what is alcoholism? Alcoholism is the continual disease that controls your body, making you totally reliant on any type of alcohol. Because the effects of alcohol become more rigorous over time, alcoholism is known as the progressive disease. Because of its availability, alcohol is the most commonly abused drug in the United States. Studies show that over 11 million people, 12 and older, are relying on alcohol as a drug. Although alcohol is legal to those who are over 21, it can be just as dangerous as over-the-counter or illegal drugs. Although some people have problems with alcohol, they may not always show the signs for alcoholism. People never start off as alcoholics and may call themselves social drinkers. If people begin to show signs of using alcohol as a drug, then it begins as alcohol abuse. If the abuse continues to rapidly grow, then it becomes known as alcoholism. Secondly, are there symptoms for people who have alcoholism? Alcoholism includes the following 4 symptoms: craving, loss of control, physical dependence, and tolerance. Those exhibiting these symptoms show what is known as alcohol dependency. Research shows that alcohol cravings can be as strong as those needed for food and water. A person's genes and their lifestyle can also contribute to their development of alcoholism. A true sign of alcoholism is when an alcoholic continues to drink even after it begins to cause problems and interferes with their lifestyle. Thirdly, can alcoholism be hereditary? Several alcoholics may blame their alcoholism on their family history, but this is not always the case. However, the risk for developing alcoholism does increase when you have families with it in their past history. Hereditary influence of the environment and habit are the 3 main factors that allow a child to have a higher risk of developing an alcohol problem later on. Studies show that children with alcoholic parents have a 50% higher hereditary tendency risk. The influence of your surroundings also have a huge influence on a child. If a child is brought up in an environment surrounded by drinking and they experience an unhappy or an abusive childhood, it can affect them adversely at a later age. Habit also plays a big role in alcoholism. For example, if alcohol is commonly kept in a home or if one's friends drink frequently, then the exposure to alcohol is desensitized and one to harm or the risk of effects of drinking. Lastly, can alcoholism be treated? Alcoholism has become known as a common treatable disease. The first step in successful treatment is admitting there is a problem and seeking professional help through a rehabilitation program. One must be evaluated for alcohol abuse through different ways and studies. If alcohol dependency is determined, then a program designed from total abstinence may be necessary, which will be required by removing the alcoholic from friends, their family, home, and even work instances, and anything that would be associated with drinking or alcohol. Close medical monitoring during this time is where a person gets detoxified and made necessary for the physical well-being of the alcoholic. Once the inpatient phase of this treatment is completed, they then move to the outpatient treatment, which includes group therapy or maybe even some family therapy. Supportive groups such as AA, which is Alcoholics Anonymous, are available to assist in the daily self-help that alcoholics require in order to manage their treatment. The key to living with this disease is to have a good support system from families, friends, and even co-workers or people that who've been through this process and the recovery process and also the treatment. Alcohol is involved in almost half of all murders, manslaughters, suicides, robberies, sexual and physical assaults, and accidental deaths in the U.S. It is also involved in at least 2/3 of spouse abuse and brutal child abuse. When someone is intoxicated, they begin to show a different personality than if they were sober, which may lead them to doing things that they would not normally do or be aware of. Alcohol also brings out the violent side of a person's temperament, which is reflected in their actions. More than over 100,000 deaths each year can be attributed to alcoholism. The CDC shows that every 51 minutes someone is killed by a drunk driver, which makes it about an average of 13,000 per year. There are people who abuse alcohol on a daily basis by social standards, who put others at risk when getting behind the wheel while impaired. 21 to 24-year-olds have the higher level of alcohol-impaired fatal car accidents. Although, throughout the year, alcohol-related accidents are a huge concern, there are also certain times during the year that are more prevalent, like New Year's Eve and Christmas and special holidays where people are more apt to drink more. There are efforts being made to reduce these ill effects of the tragedies caused by alcohol, such as the MADD, which is the campaign, which is Mothers Against Drunk Driving, and they initiated the 21 minimum legal age for drinking law. And this has saved 25,000 lives since they started this in 1984. In conclusion, we have defined alcohol, we looked at its signs and symptoms, we looked at the treatment plans, and we also talked about the effects it has on society. And as a disease process, it plays a major role in all age ranges for medical treatment and therapy. The alcoholic is not a lost cause. If he or she will admit they need treatment and need help, groups such as AA play a huge role in the support and encouragement needed to overcome and manage this disease. It all comes down to a choice, and the choice is whether or not you will choose to abuse this substance. So I hope you consider the effects that alcohol may have on an individual, and please think twice before you get behind the wheel of a car when consuming alcohol. Thank you.